The key points to a great camera rig is balance, compactness, and being super functional whether you're filming by yourself or with a team. With the help of these sponsors, I'm going to give you the secret to piecing together your own super rig that will last you a lifetime, and it's all because of this handle. Hey, what's going on everybody? Too Long Didn't Read Filmmaker here, where I try to condense everything you need to know into one small video so you can get on your way. Now there comes a time in a filmmaker's journey where they're going to have to rig out their camera just a little bit. However, if you're not careful and methodical with how you select your parts, you could end up with a rig that's fairly expensive and unfortunately does not work as smoothly as you'd like. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my secrets and how I selected my parts. And I could not have done this without the help of today's sponsor, which is Small Rig, Per Gear, ZG Cine, Vodka, and finally PD Movie. They supplied all the parts that you're going to see today to help me build out my perfect rig. So thank you guys so much for making this video happen. Without further ado, let's get started on the equipment list and why each part is important. When you think about rigging your camera, the first company you think of is Small Rig. They literally have everything for pretty much every camera you can think of. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a camera cage. Now the reason we need this is to get mounting points onto our camera body, similarly to like cinema cameras. Small Rig offers multiple different types, even for the same camera, so check out their catalog to see which one is best for you. Next up, we have the base plates and rails from Small Rig. Now this base plate basically allows us to have more structure onto the rig itself so we can mount heavier items. It also allows us to support heavier lenses, and this can be achieved with the Small Rig's lens support. Depending on your needs, put a quick release clamp on the top if you switch to gimbals often, and put a QR plate on the bottom so that you can hook up to tripods quickly. Now the rails I specifically chose from Small Rig is ones that are extendable. You either have a 12-inch or an 8-inch, or you can combine it all together to make 20 inches. On the top part of the camera, we are going to use the Small Rig top handle with a recording button. Now this top handle is there because we want to be able to grab and move the camera around easily while on set. The recording button up top is a great feature as it's wide out in the open and it's easy to hit, especially when you are holding the rig in a very odd way. To mount the top handle onto the camera, we're going to use this Small Rig NATO rail with an extra rod slot to the right. NATO rails are awesome as it allows you to attach and remove items very quickly. Looking at the front of the handle, we have the ability to use an RE monitor mount. This is much more sturdy because of the two locating pins. And with this RE monitor mount made by Small Rig, we're actually able to move and maneuver the monitor into various positions without actually having to tighten anything. This makes it super quick for us on set. Moving over to the right side of the camera, we're actually going to install an RE Rosé handle. And to do this, I'm going to use a NATO rail here, and then I'm going to use a NATO rail to RE adapter here. Having this NATO rail and RE combo on the right side not only mimics a traditional DSLR handheld position, but it also allows you to adjust quickly to low or high angle shots, all the while being able to pull focus, all because of this 1/4-20 on the bottom. And this is where the magic happens because I am able to use the PD Movie Live Air 2S, take that tiny little follow focus wheel and actually mount it onto the bottom of this handle. This allows my thumb to actually pull focus while I am carrying around the rig. Not only that, I could actually just take it off and give it to somebody else who might be focus pulling for me. Or in another situation, I can actually just take off this entire handle, hand it over to somebody who's looking over my shoulder, and they can pull focus that way. To mount the motor, we're actually going to use the rod port that's at the top near the top handle. And this allows the motor to not clutter the bottom two rails. Next up, let's rig up our Vodka monitor. This is the E50, which basically has a 2500 nits of brightness, which is great for outdoors, but it also does have an HDMI out on the bottom, and it also has an 8.4 volt DC out. This is great if you want to power other types of motors or other accessories on the front of your rig. Last but not least, we have the battery and the battery plate made by ZG Cine, provided by Per Gear. Now this plate is awesome because it has an on and off switch which helps you conserve battery life. It also has a little LED that will turn red once your battery is actually starting to drain towards the end. But this plate also has more modern ports, specifically the USB-C power delivery. This port is amazing because you can use it to power up your camera. You can use it to power up wireless audio kits. If you just need a regular USB out, they do have that provided as well. Looking at the ZG Cine V160, which is 160 watt hours, I love this battery because it's much more profiled and compact for what it is. Not only that, it gives you a nice LCD screen that tells you how much battery life you have, as well as giving you a bunch of different ports. Specifically, you have some D taps and you have that awesome USB-C power delivery. With everything assembled, we simply just have to hook everything up. To power the camera, you have two options. I'm using the small rig dummy battery that goes into my Sony, and we're simply going to plug it into the 8.4 volts. If you want to streamline this because you're moving between a rig and a gimbal constantly, what you can do is actually use a Sony battery and then use a USB-C power delivery cable and plug it into the side of your camera instead. What this allows you to do is to easily take your camera out of the rig after you've unplugged everything. From there, you can transfer it over to the gimbal while still having power to the camera. This took me under 2 minutes, which is not bad. Notice that I still have my follow focus motor on, which can then be controlled by my first AC wirelessly. Now, if you'd like to connect more power to the camera while still being on the gimbal, basically rig up a USB-C power delivery bank onto the gimbal somewhere like I have here. Last but not least, we need to give power to the monitor. Simply use this DC cable here, go to the 12 volts, and simply route it over to your monitor. Now, for people who are wondering about wireless HDMIs and where you could actually mount this, you can actually mount this to the back of the top handle over here like this. I'm specifically using the Hollyland Mars 400S Pro. And to power it, you can actually just use the USB-A port over here, or if you want to, you can use another DC cable and run a 12 volt to the DC-N. Now that you have assembled your rig, we need to check the balance of it. The easiest way to check where the balance point is to simply take 1 or 2 fingers and pull up on the middle of the top handle. Depending on which way the rig tilts, simply slide the battery back and forth to achieve balance. And there you have it. You have a very super versatile rig ready to go. My team and I recently used this rig for my annual Christmas special. The rig powered the camera, monitor, and wireless HDMI for about 6 hours, easily handling the day's shoot for this action comedy short. And hey, that is the end of this video. I really hope it's been helpful for how you want to design your next camera rig. And if you want to look at all the parts that I've used, I have everything linked down below so you can find it nice and quick. They are affiliated, so if you use it, it does help support the channel, and I sincerely thank you for that. Otherwise, if you have any questions or comments about how to build out your rig, simply leave it down below. I will get to them as fast as I can. And until then, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.